Okay, so I spent the last day or two trying to make a deployment video just for 40k in general, and I've failed utterly every time. So maybe eventually you guys will get a deployment video out here, so you can hear my thoughts on deploying, choosing to go first or second, and based on what mission and everything. But for now, this is just going to be a general tactics for all of 40k, no matter what army you're playing, and I'll briefly do part of the deployment, and say that if it's kill points, you typically want to go first. If it's a mission that uses objectives, then you typically want to go second, and most importantly, deploy second. Just in general. I'll go into specifics in the deployment video that may or may not eventually actually get finished. So yeah, general tactics. If you've noticed with my, in the battle reports or with my lists for my Imperial Guard, I always have 3 Layman Russ. If it's 1,000 points, I have 3 Layman Russ. If it's 2,000 points, I have 3 Layman Russ. I did 4 in the last game just to try out squads and that, but it didn't work. So yeah, 3 Layman Russ. That's my solid defending core of my army. It can really lay out the heart from all the way across the table, and it can take a lot of hits and a lot of shots, especially with camo netting sitting in 4+ cover. So, yeah. If you've also noticed, I've got my 2 Chimeras, which for my Imperial Guard is the only part of my army that really books it forward. I've got my infantry squads, my infantry platoon, pretty much always sits in one spot. They're kind of a part of my army that can really dish out the hurt, especially when opponents get too close, but they can't take a lot of hits back. There's a lot of them, so they can take a good amount of firepower overall, but individually they can't. And then I've got my sentinels, which run around and shoot things that are trying to take out my chimeras. So this breaks down into basically 3 or 4 parts. There's part of my army that can just take tons and tons of hits, deal out the damage, my Layman Russes. Also included in there may be my infantry platoon. There's part of my army that goes forward, that takes the objectives, takes the fight to the enemies, shoots flamers and melta-guns out of the top of the Chimera, which is kind of like my attacking force. And then there's my sentinels, which are running around, giving support fire, taking out key targets, my scout sentinels, outflanking, killing rear armor. So there's kind of like these blurry lines where some of my guys fall into more than one category, but in general there's 3-ish parts of the army, and basically what you want, let me move this down. Basically what you want is for your army to function all as one. Everything needs to be working with and helping another part of your army. So I have my, if you've noticed, even against the Tyranids, which is an assaulting army, even with Carnifex and big bugs running up the middle of the board, I've always taken my 2 Chimeras and moved them forward the whole game. I think the only game I didn't do that in was against the Space Wolves, and that's because they died. They came in, the next turn they moved forward, and then they died. So, but you want to move them forward. The reason being, even if it's an assaulting army, you can do a lot of damage to them. You can, keep taking pot shots at their squads, flamer out of the top, melta-guns at the big guys. But the real reason that even if it's a kill points mission, it's important to move those forward, is because I have lots of fragile things behind them. And if I move them forward and meet the opponent halfway up the table, he has to waste a turn, maybe 2, assaulting them in the middle of the table, grouping together into nice little pie plate shaped groups, which allows me to do so much more damage to them when they finally kill the Chimera. Another thing it does is it slows down their advance. Instead of moving forward and running every turn, they're moving forward, moving over from the sides to the center or wherever the Chimera is. So instead of moving forward, they're moving towards, wherever the Chimera's at, wasting a turn or two over there, instead of moving right towards my line. And the Chimera, fortunately, the two Chimeras running together is usually enough to deal with a good amount of the things that they send at it. Even if they kill both of them, then they've got 20 veterans to deal with 4 melta guns, 2 flamers, 14 guys with las guns and pistols, and a primary psyker shooting out his lightning or whatever. So I mean, there's a ton of firepower there, and even if they can break that and kill all of those, I mean, I gave up a lot of kill points, but it's gonna stop them from getting to the rest of my army for a few turns, which is usually enough to wipe out any army completely. So in general, you'll notice this with my LotR as well. I have my Falcons sitting back shooting, my Vipers, that's kind of a support unit, like my Sentinels running around shooting at things, and I have my 2 Wave Serpents pushing the advance forward, taking the fight to the enemy, even though they're an assaulting enemy. I assaulted the Trigon, and it worked. It worked beautifully. So basically, you want to choose, you want to consciously pick units like Layman Russ or a Falcon that can sit back and really deal out the damage. It can take a lot of shots back. Because that'll take off a lot of the firepower from the other parts of your list. You want to consciously choose an attacking force. Usually 2 units is what I take. I usually, my 2 Wave Serpents or my 2 Chimeras, something that's mobile, that can move fast and get up there into combat, or get up there to close range firing, rapid firing, and everything. And you want a unit or 2 to support them. If you look at my Dark Eldar list, I had my Ravager in the back, laying down the hurt, taking out important targets. I had my 3 Raiders as my support units. They kind of flew around. I didn't usually disembark. I didn't want to disembark that much. And I had my main attacking forward-moving force, which is my HQ squad with Lord and the Incubi. Everything else was support for them, shooting down other targets like the Seraphim that were about to go after them, killing Celestine so that she doesn't kill them. I have all these other units working around to take out the other forces that are going after my attacking force up the middle. So, if you look at really any of my lists or armies, you kind of see this sort of unison. Guys in the back blasting at specific targets like the Exorcist, that kind of thing, things that are going to take out my other forces. I've got my main attacking force like the Lord and the Incubi, or the Chimeras going up the front, just plowing through. And then I've got Sentinels, kind of like kick-ass guys in trench coats, running around, punching, shooting, killing all the things that are trying to stop these guys from getting there. It's kind of like football, actually. Which, again, I don't watch, but you're trying to get the ball straight up the middle. If my objective is just to clear a path straight through the enemy force, just rip them in half, and there's all these guys running up the sides trying to tackle him. Well, I've got guys running up either side of the guy with the ball, just punching, tackling, taking out the guys that are running after my guy. So I choose where to attack with each of my forces. I choose what battles I get into with the main attacking force, and I do that by choosing what opponents to take out. If someone's going to attack me, my main attack force, and it's not on my terms, then I use my supporting forces to take them out instead. So you always, always, always want to choose where you attack and what you attack and on what terms and with what units. That way you can more effectively specialize with each squad. If I have an anti-armor squad, the last thing I want to do is get them assaulted. So I'll use my supporting units to take out the units that are trying to assault them. It's that simple. So you want a force to sit in the back, blast away. You want a supporting unit to take out anything that's trying to hurt your attacking unit that you don't want them to get in combat with. And you've got your attacking unit, which is basically just ripping through whatever they're good at, usually straight up the middle, slowing down the enemy. So that's pretty much all I got for that. See you guys later.